Good evening, or oh my gosh, morning. Good
Good.
morning, everybody. Oh my gosh, I'm still tired.
Oh goodness.
I'm
And you
going.
didn't wake up at 5 a.m.
No, I didn't. Who wakes up at 5 a.m. on a Saturday?
My
What kind
husband
of nerd wakes
for
up at
work.
5 a.m. on a Saturday?
Someone who has to go to work.
Yeah, well, yeah. Give me just a second. Let me put this over here. So, how
Change the
are you this
screen.
morning? Well, hold up, hold up,
Yeah,
hold up. I
huh?
know how to do this. I know how to do this. Just give me a second. There
Do
we go.
you? Do you?
I
Hmm?
do. All right.
There we
So
go.
I have. Hold up. I'm trying to get all the shit that I have. We have so much today. So much to do today. Not really to do, but so much to do today. Because what did you do yesterday, Abby?
Well, I did the same thing you did yesterday, I
You mean
see.
watch the greatest Cinderella adaptation? Of course. So okay,
Well,
okay.
okay,
So
okay.
let
Before
me.
you get into that, you lied to me. That is not a Cinderella story.
It is
Like, at
Cinderella.
all.
Lionel's just
Mm,
the main character in his own little story. Like he's not a part of the fantasy group there. He's too practical. But first of all, let me just go ahead and tell you, we watched the
Recently
Cinderella.
added to Disney Plus.
Yeah, 1997. I think Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella with Brandy and Whitney Houston, and actually a bunch of
Whoopi
others like
Goldberg.
Whoopi Goldberg and just a bunch of others. Like they're amazing. The greatest Cinderella adaptation. And you said you hadn't actually seen it all full through until yesterday, right?
Right, because I didn't grow up really watching ABC,
Yeah.
and that's where it would have aired for me since I didn't have cable.
Right.
Um didn't really watch it. It didn't have the greatest clarity. It was very staticky where we lived. So
Mm.
we just didn't watch it.
So, and okay, before we get into like our like I know we're getting competitive and whatever, but before we get into any of that, like what were your actual personal thoughts of the
We're going to
thing?
refer to as the Brandy
Yeah,
Cinderella.
Brandy Cinderella.
I actually thought it was really good, and I think the reason why it did so well was because it was a direct to TV movie. Was
Yeah.
a movie adaptation for TV.
Mhm.
Um, so they didn't really have to cater to a specific demographic. They could just do whatever they wanted. I First thing I noticed and deeply appreciated immediately was just how diverse the cast
Oh,
is.
yes. I think that's why a lot of people, myself included, as a kid, was so into it because representation matters. Like it really does for my kid brain. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's a lot of people who look like me, you know. And the prince is Asian, and the princess is black. It's like, oh crap, like we can actually have different color people be a prince and princess. You know what I mean? Like it
And
was
it's like,
and even the background characters, all the dancers, all of them were just so there were so many people of color.
right. And like I grew up in this, like, well, my elementary school anyway. I can't say the same for my middle or high school. My elementary school was super diverse. So super diverse. Like the classes had to be 50% girls and 50% boys,
Mm-hmm.
with I think one third black, one third white, and then one third other, so brown or Asian or anything like that.
Right.
So it's like, as a child, I'm sure I would have enjoyed this movie as well because it's like, oh, this is just me and my friends, me
Mm-hmm.
and my classmates, like what I would be used to. Cannot say the same thing about the diversity in middle or high school though.
Yeah. But I
Um,
mean, that's still good though. Like to be so diverse. I, on the other hand, I was the exact opposite from
mm,
elementary up until like my first year in middle school.
mhm.
Um, I was one of the only colored person in my school. In my Christian school at the time, and like I mean, it was. I didn't. I noticed there was a difference, but thankfully they didn't treat me like I had like a difference. At least the kids don't. Kids they learn, right? kids don't really associate by color, right? And we had a lot of Latino kids in my Christian school, like me and my sister, and I think there was two others or something. Um, and then when I went to my middle school, like transferred from a private school to a public school, that's where I actually saw diversity, and
Hmm.
that's where I felt most comfortable because it was so diverse, because it was something that was honestly unique. Blew my mind. Sorry, but anyway, love the movie. This was technically my personal favorite adaptation. Of course, we are going to talk about all other adaptations as well. We did watch on Monday your favorite adaptation, which was Ever After,
Hmm.
and
Starring
Drew Barrymore.
Drew Barrymore, DeGray Scott, and then had Angelica Houston as the powerhouse evil mother, evil
Yes,
stepmother.
which was good because she's also
It,
Morticia Adams, and I didn't realize it until one of our friends pointed it out. Like that blew my mind. Oh, I should also say, um, I don't know if you saw my comment yesterday about it, but do you remember the ball scene? We were counting down the minutes in the ball scene.
oh yeah,
She's like,
yeah.
"Oh yeah, she's got 45 minutes to woo the prince," and then I was like, "That's more than what Drew Barrymore got."
I mean, yeah, I did see that.
Poor, I was like, I felt so bad. I was like, because Drew really didn't have a ball scene. Like in
She
all
had a fucking
honesty,
reveal though.
she did
She
have a
had a.
reveal. Mm-hmm. But
You had to admit that the reveal, Ever After's reveal, is like the best.
no, I won't admit that because it's. I personally don't think so.
Well, I mean, like no others have a reveal. It's just like, oh, okay, magic, and she's in a dress.
Oh, it's true. Well,
So like,
I mean,
no,
all eyes
well,
turn to
okay,
her the
maybe
moment that
Hillary
she
Duff.
walks. Huh?
Like, okay, so I'm a little fuzzy on the Hillary Duff's A Cinderella story
Yeah. They
because
they don't show the
it's been a
dress.
hot minute.
Right. They don't
Right,
show the
so it's like,
dress.
and they don't show her or anything like that. I don't remember Hillary Duff, so I can't say it's like if she does or does not have a reveal.
She does.
But
She does. I remember everything because I love that. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Hillary Duff movie as well. I love that
mhm.
movie. And I remember the reason why we even thought of doing the Cinderella adaptations wasn't because of the announcement. It was because we had compared all the dresses, the shoes, the kind of movie it was, sitting at work one day. Do you remember? It was months ago.
I mean, we go over topics repeatedly, so it's been
Right.
more than once.
And I was just like, but the first time we did it, we sat and I remember we talked about everything from the dress to the thing. So the reveal being one of them, you know, uh, yes, Hillary Duff had a reveal. She didn't because you never saw the dress or like the magic of her putting on the dress or whatever, or just magically appearing on her or whatever. Because again, there is no magic in another Cinderella story. There is none. So the reveal was really, really, really interesting. Um, and just like Ever After, it was a wedding gown.
Their
Yep.
mother's wedding.
No, it wasn't her mother's wedding gown. It was actually just a wedding gown. And her fairy godmother, at least in the another Cinderella story, quote unquote fairy godmother, she gave her old wedding dress because her fairy godmother never really like it got she got married but it fell through. You know, she had a divorce or something. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I
that
don't
is the
think
sweetest.
Drew's mother's like Danielle's mother. It was Danielle's mother's wedding dress. It was just part of her dowry,
Mm,
which is because it's a historical piece. Dowries were very important to girls.
right. Which I will say, I do like that about Ever After. I do like Ever After. Let me just say it. I do like Ever
Mm.
After. I
Right, and
love,
we're not saying that we're the other's favorite is bad or
obviously
any of these
not.
are bad. The only one we're going to say is bad is Cinderella and the Four Knights, but that's
Which,
a different
okay,
story.
first of all, I put it
That's a
there.
different story.
I put it there because it was for funsies. Like I literally, it was a joke because it is not a Cinderella story. I don't know why they titled it that way, But hey, it was on there.
I mean,
Um,
she kinda had a Cinderella moment and lost her shoe and blah blah blah, all that fun stuff. But
it
it's
was a
like,
moment, a Cinderella moment doesn't make it Cinderella. Like,
right. And
it was
again,
awful.
that's the only one we're gonna shit on.
Yeah, well,
That's the
it's
only
awful in the funniest way. I like if you like K dramas and you want to see a bad one, like that's a good one, good bad one. Um,
it's an awful bad one. This is so bad.
okay, so we're going to
Yeah.
talk about some of the ones that we had a poll for. Of course, we're going to talk about the Disney classic, animated
Oh,
classic, as well.
absolutely.
Yeah, as well as its live action. Um,
Yes.
I want to break down all of these. So, including Ella Enchanted, because Ella Enchanted, I'm looking through it now. Like her dress, her gown, her like ball, quote unquote ball gown. It's so plain Jane to me, but it's simple and it works for Anne Hathaway. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I really
Mm.
like Anne Hathaway, but it's like I don't. I get it, but I don't really consider Ella Enchanted as like a true Cinderella story.
Obviously
I
not.
feel like it's more along the lines of Into the Woods, where it's like, oh, we have a Cinderella storyline that's kind of the main focus, but there's a lot of other stuff and stories going around it.
I actually do, in fact, love the concept of Ella Enchanted. Like she's like, cause even in the story, Ella is obedient, but it makes no sense why she's obedient. In other stories, it's like, oh well, I promised my dead dad I'd stay with the family, or I have nowhere to go. Ella actually has a reason. She's just cursed. That's her reason. Like if she could, she would run away if she could. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But she can't because she's cursed. And I love that. I love that about Ella Enchanted. Um, like it does put a unique spin to it. You know what I mean?
right.
Uh, but like with Ever After and Brandy's Cinderella, they're both like, well, I promised my dad I wouldn't leave, and we promised to stay together, and all
That
of
was
that. And I'm like,
Brandy. That was Brandy. Like, Drew,
Drew
she
stayed.
couldn't leave.
Well,
She
that
couldn't leave because she was staying for her family's home and
and
the
her and the
people that.
servants. Yeah,
So it's like she kind of has more of an excuse to stay because this is Dark Ages. She
that's true.
doesn't really have anywhere else to go. She doesn't have a support system elsewhere she wants to stay because this is her home. This is her
Mm-hmm.
father's home. This is where what family she has, non biological, is. Like, you see that she's very close with the servants. She's very close to this other, like, boy
Mm-hmm.
that it's probably like a neighbor or a servant of some sort, Gustav. Like, this is where she lives, and that's all she wants, is she wants to make sure that her home is safe.
All
But then
right.
again, she's also of lower class,
Yeah.
technically, and her stepmother is a baroness.
Sorry, give me just a second. I'm putting out all the questions. Are you ready?
Okay.
So, okay. So I have several questions I want to ask you about these several Cinderella adaptations. Okay. The most we're going to talk
Mhm.
about is the Ever After, Brandy's,
Okay.
um, the animated Disney classic Cinderella, the animated live action Cinderella, the Ella Enchanted, another Cinderella story, and I think there was one more that we posted in our poll. Okay, so Cinderella and the Four Knights. Fuck, I mean, fuck that one. That one was
We've
is terrible.
We're not
We
gonna
ex-
give any more attention to it. It's shit.
it
It's
is
awful.
so. So instead, I would like to focus your attention
Mhm.
on those that we were just listed, and there was one with Selena Gomez.
Another Cinderella story.
You're right. So there was a Cinderella story and then another Cinderella story. Okay, I got the list over here. And I got a few questions about some of the
Okay.
adaptations, okay?
Only a few.
Only a few. So,
Okay.
out of every single one of them,
Yeah.
and we have to be, well, we're going to be biased. We have our own personal loves, but out of all of
Really?
them,
I never would
who,
have guessed.
okay, so out of all of them, who do you believe had the saddest story?
Um.
And I don't know if you've seen a lot of them. I don't know if you've seen like another Cinderella story.
I don't fully remember another Cinderella story. I think it was on at one point. Again, it was like a TV adaptation kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to watch it, and I just kind of got like knock off Hilary Duff Cinderella story.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I don't really remember it, but I feel like hmm, the saddest is probably Danielle from Ever
I
After.
agree. I
And
think
that is because this is the only one we see moments of her as a child interacting with her father and then the loss of that father.
hmm, I actually agree because I genuinely think that Ever After didn't really pull like hold the punches uh when doing like a darker ish story, Cinderella story, you know what I mean?
Well, I
Because
wouldn't necessarily say it's darker. I just
dude,
don't
she was
think.
sold to be like a sexy person to this sleazy guy. That's dark.
No, she was just a slave. That's all she
Yeah, but he
was.
was
It's
trying to
that.
take like he took advantage of
Yeah,
her. I'm
he was
telling you.
sleazy.
That's what I'm saying. Like that shit's
He
dark.
came on. I was about to say he came on screen for the first time, and my husband's
Who's the
like,
sleaze?
he's like, oh, that's the bad guy, and my husband had never seen it before Monday.
Yeah. No, that yeah, that like that I think that's what was so dark to me. Also the stepmother was
Yes.
selling all these belongings and throwing these servants to cover her own debt and blaming them for
Mm-hmm.
the for stealing even though it was her that was stealing just to keep her head above water. I'm telling you, Ever After is much darker. So yes, I do think that Ever After had a sadder story because
Mm-hmm.
they just went there. Everything was sad, you know, and like mm,
And it only came out a year after. They're both Disney productions, and it
yes.
came out a year after your Cinderella.
Mhm. Which was like I mean, I loved the that kind of dark kind of thing because it was very
I
much more dramatic than my Cinderella, which was happy go lucky and just a very
Oh,
easy
I don't know,
watch.
girl. Yours is a musical. It's dramatic as fuck.
I mean, no, mine was like it's something you can play in the background and just really enjoy. Like it's really good, and
Right.
it being like easy to digest. Just not as dramatic as Ever After for sure. Um, but yeah, so like that to me, I agree. Out of all of the Cinderella adaptations, Ever After really kind of went there, even with like her being sold as a slave, him taking advantage of her, the loss of her dad, you know, her
Mm-hmm.
finally standing up to her stepmother and asking like, did you
Mm-hmm.
ever love me? And her like straight up breaking her heart, like shit like that, man. It was intense and
Mm-hmm.
it happens, but it makes you feel so sad for this person, Danielle. Oh, it's so sad. So yes, that I will say was the saddest story. At least
Mm-hmm.
the opening story general. So
Cinderella's story, not just like all these other side characters.
right,
Specifically, Daniela has the saddest story.
yes, out of all of them, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think had the happier ending? I mean, of course, they all had happy
Mm-hmm.
endings, but for me, I say happier because maybe I'm just petty, but
Yeah.
Danielle had more a happier ending because she actually
Now,
took
here I
revenge
will.
on her
Yeah,
mother.
her
Hi,
stepmother.
Monty.
Yes.
Yes,
Hello, Monty. Um. So obviously, Ever
I take
After
it
is my
back.
favorite, but I'm gonna bring something up to you. Daniela overcame all these things. She, um, got the prince. She like defeated the quote unquote bad guy. She got her quote unquote revenge, petty ass revenge, by the way, might I add,
Yes, yes.
against her stepmother and stepsister, or the evil stepsister anyway. And it's very satisfying. It's so good. She helped her lover grow as a
Mm-hmm.
person over
Mm-hmm.
time. But I'd like to also include and give credit to Hilary Duff's Cinderella.
Yes, I was about to say I took I because I was like, yes, Hilary Duff Cinderella had a happier ending. She went to college. You know, she found everything that like her
She
college application thing. So
Her
she's
hard
leaving her
work paid
family.
off.
Yeah, her
She
hard work paid off.
got to
She
go to prom. She got to do
yes,
all this stuff,
she got
and
to
she ended
keep
up.
her diner, her dad's diner, which she worked so
Yep.
hard for. And her mother and stepsisters also had comeuppance, you know?
Yes.
So that was really
Um.
good.
It's one of the things that's like I'm still gonna hold Ever After very dear to my heart kind of thing, but I'm like, in a sense, they have the same kind of impact for me,
True.
Ever After and Hilary Duff.
True.
But I feel like in a kind of in a sense because Hilary Duff is portrayed at a what seems to be a younger age. I think she's what 16 or 17. She's like really smart
Senior
and
in
has
college. Yeah.
senior in high school.
Why did I say college? You're absolutely right. Senior in high
But
school.
I think like she had moved up some grades because she was really advanced or something. So she was still like quote unquote younger than her like classmates and stuff. So she's doing all this at I'm guessing again I haven't seen it in a while at 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it seems they play it up enough to add more weight to the reward at the end.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes, I can see that.
Hmm.
I will agree. I mean, I saw another Cinderella story with Selena Gomez, and that one was
Yeah.
okay. I'll just say it's okay. Very cringy. I think out of all of them, that was the cringiest one to me. Like I
Yeah.
can't explain why. It just seemed cringy.
Well, like I can give one example because I it sticks to me very very clearly is at the prom, the stepmother is a chaperone for the prom or something or some like really important faculty member and she had shown up after a cinema enema or a cinnamon enema and people were commenting on that.
Oh yeah.
So, I'm like why are we bringing this up in what's supposed to be like a teen young children's show or
True.
movie?
True. So let me ask you then,
Okay.
who had the best dress? I know this is gonna be a longer kind of uh debate, I guess, because I
um
have two. Okay.
as a costuming major I appreciate all of them for what they
Yes.
are. Again, I'm still gonna say that Daniela's dress is my favorite. I think it's the greatest. I think her wings are beautiful, the dress is beautiful, I think the slippers match it, but it's hard to beat the animated classic. Brandy's was a very clear nod to the classic. It
Yes.
was beautiful. It had a very similar silhouette, but made it very not dated,
90s.
but updated. Does that make
Yes.
sense?
So
So they
my
didn't date it to the 90s, but it is like updated of the original animation. I think Hilary Duff's is extremely appropriate for um her time period as well over
yeah,
in Ocala, kind of California and stuff like that. Um, I love all of them. They're hard not to love.
we have to pick one personal favorite.
Daniela,
Oh, okay.
I love the wings. I think the wings are beautiful.
So I'm torn between two. Obviously,
Okay.
I love Brandy's dress. I love that the off
Yes.
shoulder with the beading on it. That to me was amazing, especially considering the whole film where like the costumes were kind of all over the place, right?
Oh my God, thank you because I'm
Well,
like
no, that's
that.
why I knew you would like it. Like, because I knew, like, the whole point is to make, like, this some fantastical kind of thing. All the costumes were way out there. And I love that. That personally, to me, you know, it just showcased the designs were just amazing,
About
especially
to say
with
the
her
costume designer
stepmother.
was having a blast with this. I
Yes.
promise you that.
Yes, like and it worked. It worked for them. Like you had the stepmother and her sisters were always over the top, always.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then the regalness of the king and queen's outfits and the princes as well was amazing. The
Hmm.
commoners were colorful but still common, Their colors were awesome, but it was so colorful and it was all over the place and I really loved it. However, Brandy's dress tied it together. It wasn't over the top. It was just perfect.
Elegant. It was
It
elegant.
it was very elegant. I love the off shoulders with like the beading on the sleeves and everything. Oh, it was
And
so
she has the
pretty.
body type for that. She has very
Yes.
slim and dainty shoulders for that. She had this very like long torso and very slim waist
Yes.
and body. They did her justice with that dress,
And
honestly.
like the way it was gliding on the floor when you danced, like that to me,
Hmm.
and it still held its shape. It didn't look over like cumbersome or anything like that. That to me was amazing. And then my second favorite, like it's right up
Okay.
there, is the
Okay.
live action Disney Cinderella dress because it was a nod to the classic technically with the but it had butterflies in her dress and such.
Yeah.
And when she was dancing, like I thought this thing would be heavy, right? It
Yeah.
looks heavy with all the tulle and all that shit. It looked so heavy. But she still was able to dance with it like with ease. And I was just like, wow. It really blew my mind, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh man. So same question with shoes. Who had the best shoes? See, I can't say Brandy because Brandy was a
Uh,
nod to the classic and it was just simple glass, you know?
they could have done better stuff with it. They could have added some like glitter to like the toe or the heel to add some just pizzazz to
Pizzazz,
it.
yeah. But they
I
didn't.
didn't want to hurt your feelings, but I'm like that shoe is
No, it was
so
simple. I always knew it would be
so
simple
like
compared to like okay, the Disney live action was a fake glass shoe, like it looked like crystal. The Cinderella, the Hilary Duff Cinderella was a
yeah.
cell phone. So can't say she lost her shoes because she didn't. She lost her
Also,
cell phone. Same with
wasn't
the
it a flip phone?
yes, it was a flip phone, and same goes with the Selena Gomez one. Hers was
Oh
a Zune.
yeah.
It was a Zune music player.
Oh my god.
And I'm just like, yeah, those don't count. They're not shoes. So they're automatically like out. I don't think did Ella Enchanted, did she lose anything? I don't think so, right?
I don't really remember. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it's like I remember the big problem that she had was she's told to go kill the prince.
That's it. Mhm.
And then she finally breaks her own curse
Right.
or
Right. She had strong will
blessing.
enough, yeah, to break that curse. Yes.
And so she had to deal with that. So I don't think she had a shoe. Um hmm,
I will say, I guess my favorite glass that actually looks like a glass slipper with the crystal kind of look would be the live action Cinderella. Because it looked, I mean, is it computer generated? More than likely, yes. But is it beautiful when it's revealed? Absolutely. It is stunning. Like, it is so stunning.
I think they did a really good job with designing it, especially kind of giving
Yes.
like the like making it kind of iridescent and like
Mm-hmm.
faceted. It's very beautiful. It is a very beautiful shoe. I appreciate the butterfly on the very
Yes.
tip because it kind of plays back to like the sparkles on the animated um glass slipper.
Exactly. Yes.
I personally like Daniela's glass quote unquote glass slipper because it's
It's an actual
fucking
shoe.
practical. It's fucking
Yes. Yeah,
practical.
yeah, no. Okay,
And
fair.
it matches her full dress. The glass slipper to me always seems kind of awkward, if that makes sense. It doesn't fully fit with the entire outfit.
Give me just a second.
Oh,
I'm
go
trying
ahead.
to open pickle chips. Okay, so you were saying?
Chip chips. Yes, give me the details. Munch, munch, munch.
I know, you're going to hear me crunch. I'm so sorry.
So the dresses are beautiful. The shoes, except Brandy, I'm sorry, are
Mm-hmm. Fair.
beautiful, but the shoes don't necessarily match the feel of the dress most of the time. And I feel like Daniela's is a practical shoe and
Mm-hmm.
B matches the outfit that she
Well,
had.
the live action one did match her outfit. I think because it had the butterfly, it had the iridescence. That's like the sparkle that you would see, like you would on her dress. Like that to me, I think out of all of them, did match her dress very, very well. But I'm not going to disagree that Daniela's didn't match her dress because it honestly did. You know, with the
Also,
rhinestones on her shoes and on her gown.
also, hers is an actual slipper, so when she loses it, it makes sense because it
Okay.
doesn't have a back.
Yes, that's true. Aren't you gonna
And
just
that
fell
was
face
always
first?
my problem is like why are they losing their shoes? Why don't they're magical.
I lose my
How is
shoes.
it falling?
Okay, listen, I can see. So I lose my shoes often, not because it doesn't fit me, but sometimes if I do trip or do something funky, I will lose my shoes. I
I
often
was about
like
to say
step on them.
because you might be do something dumb with them.
I mean, yeah. And I'm not saying that these Cinderellas are dumb, but I mean, same thing could happen. I'm just saying that, you know. So that's why they're like, well, why did she lose her shoes? I fucking lose my shoes. I sometimes step over my own flip flop. Like, you know, I don't pay attention. Okay, so there.
Ah,
It makes sense to me, at
eh,
least. Man. Um, so who did you think? Another,
okay,
and this is again from all adaptations.
okay.
Who do you think had the best prince? I'm not saying the most handsome. I'm saying the best prince
I
because
will go. I'll go ahead and admit that Henry from Ever After,
mm-hmm.
which I will come back to that. Remind me. We got to go over the issues we have with our own favorites. But
I hate
Henry, I
Henry.
can't say Henry is a good prince. I mean,
No,
they the
he's
narrator at the
Danielle
very
deserves
beginning,
so much better.
the narrator's just like he was a man that was a boy. She
Yeah,
she like straight up called him out on that shit at the very beginning
yeah.
when talking about him. So I cannot say that he's a good prince.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like your prince, Christopher, for
Mm-hmm.
Brandy, but I
You
also,
gotta say his full name.
oh God, no. Oh, the last thing I remember is that at some point, because of the song, his dad has Sydney as part of his name, and
Yes,
everyone's like, Sydney, Sydney. I'm like,
yes.
that's the only Christopher and Sydney. That's it. Um, hmm. I can't. We
I'm gonna
can't
say
say
this.
the what is it? The animated
He didn't say a
has.
word. He
He
had no
didn't say
speaking
anything.
lines. He didn't have any speaking lines. And not shitting on the animated because the animated is will always be special.
Okay, hang on. He does have a couple of lines. It's right before she leaves and runs away.
Oh, what's your name?
Yeah, please tell me your name. It's like,
Yep.
I must go. It's like, no, you can stay. He actually has lines, speaking lines, not musical lines.
Mm-hmm.
But still, we cannot say he has good lines.
Nope.
Or
Useless.
he's a good prince because he just isn't there.
He's useless.
Um,
All I see is you see him yawn in that one scene, and then he looks up, and there's the princess, and he's like, all right, I'm done. I'm gonna go dance with this lady for the rest of the night. Fuck all y'all. I was like, okay.
I mean
Animated
that's
Disney
fair.
Prince, useless.
No,
Absolutely
no,
useless. The live action Disney Prince, though, they actually gave him a personality. Do you
that's
remember?
what I yeah.
Like,
Um,
because he met
yeah,
Cinderella before the actual ball.
right.
And they developed, and it was I remembered him. He didn't seem like an asshole. I'm sorry, like, ever after. Honestly, Danielle deserves so much better. Because the guy, like you said, he was a boy. He was spoiled and arrogant and all of this stuff. Like, you know what I mean? And like he had a personality, and of course he grew up to be a man. But the moment, and he even said it himself, the moment like she wanted him to trust her, he literally like threw her to the wolves. And I'm like, and she might be forgiving because she's Danielle and she's a princess. I'm a fucking like, I'm a bitch. I would be like, nah, you missed your chance. I'm gonna leave. I just saved myself from this man who was trying to like have his way.
Mhm.
And I sliced him up, and I would do it again. Fuck it. And because
Mhm.
she got a key to freedom, and she ran outside. She was gonna go off and live somewhere, her own life for once. And then he comes up, and he's like, "Well, I came to rescue you." Fuck you. I rescued myself. I would have walked away. I'd be like, "Nah, bitch. Now I gotta go take care of my stepmom. She's like ruining my house," and walk
Yep.
away. But he didn't, which is fine because she loved him, which was great because I don't. I just don't like. You embarrass me and you throw me to the wolves when I try to tell you the truth. But he's
When it was me trying to tell you the truth. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I would have to agree that the live action
And she ruined
uh
the dress, and he did nothing. Ooh.
oh, I think she just ripped off the wings.
Yeah, excuse me. She ruined the gown. Okay, the
Ruined
wings
the
were
look. She
part of
didn't
it.
ruin the gown.
Yes, the wings were a part of the gown, and she ruined it. That's what made it so special because no one else in any Cinderella adaptation had wings.
Mm.
That's what made hers so unique and more memorable. You know what I mean? Because like everyone will remember, oh yes, the dress with the wings, because the wings
And
are
that
pretty,
entrance, that
and that
reveal.
entrance, and she ruined it. Stepmom ruined it. I was like, and he did nothing. He just told her to stop, and I'm like, I kicked her. I would have kicked her the fuck out, but no, 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 no. Anyway, that's just those are my qualms with the prince, and I also have my own qualms with my own prince, the Christopher from um
He's a dork. He's
he's a
a
dork.
massive
So,
dork.
okay, so this is what I love about him, though. They both admit that they have been sheltered their whole lives. So, of course, they're going to
Yes.
be socially awkward. And he was very socially awkward when he tried to approach her, right?
Yep.
Like he was so awkward. He didn't know how to talk to her or anything like that. And
Mhm.
this is the one thing that gets me. So, he didn't know how to talk to her. He kind of just forgot about her until the very last part of the movie, that the
Right.
person like, so technically he had two loves, which would have negated the whole song of, do I love you because you're wonderful, that's the one thing that got me. I was like, wait, I thought you liked the girl from the marketplace. And then it just so
I
happens to be that the princess is the girl from the marketplace, because he didn't know until the final scene. So he had two loves.
I get that. I do and I don't get that. It's he only saw her for, we're gonna assume in
45
universe,
minutes.
probably 5, maybe 10 minutes at the market.
Yes,
And
but
then
he
he
was like
was
pressuring her. He's like, hey, I want to know more about you. I got to know more about you. You're not like other girls. I need to know more about you. And what do you do at the ball? I got to know more about you. Listen, I'm in love with you. And I'm just like, come on, my dude. Really?
he's he says it's like, have we met somewhere before?
True.
He asks her repeatedly, did we meet at the lake? Did we meet
Yeah.
at the cabin? Did we meet at the beach? It's like,
And he
he
didn't
tried. He
remember.
recognized her.
Right?
So he tried. I will give that boy those props. He tried.
He tried. Okay, all right, fine. He
He
tried.
pretty. He ain't
He's
smart.
pretty.
He pretty.
Yeah, no. Brandy was the smartest of the bunch. Let's just. Anyway. Okay, I'll admit he did try, and he is my favorite. One of my favorite prints. I love that he was adorable. I loved that it was
Yeah.
because he was sheltered and he really doesn't know how to talk to the ladies. Because in the ball scene, he actually looked uncomfortable dancing with so many and bored because no one would talk to him. And when Cinderella's stepsisters tried to woo him, he does his best to alleviate the situation because he was in such an uncomfortable position because he's awkward. He doesn't know how to handle that, and I
Right,
thought
and
it
he
was
tried
very
to
cute.
tell his parents that he didn't want a ball, and his parents are like, "You're getting a ball."
Yeah. So like if this is my thing, I think he's an introvert, right? Very introverted. And if your parents are like, "Hey, we're gonna have a ball for you," I would freak the fuck out personally. Hey, you're gonna have a giant party with over 400 men to come and try and woo you. I'd be like, "No, no, I don't want this, Mama. No," So like, I get that, And of course, if you do find someone who you like, you would want to stick with them for the rest of the evening because they're the only ones that you like. As an introvert myself, like,
Right.
I don't want to talk to all these other strangers. If I find a
Yep.
stranger that like we can talk to, I'm like, all right, I'm sticking with you for the rest of the evening. You know,
Hmm.
so I can appreciate that, and I think they did really well with his character. One, I think he's absolutely handsome in his dress, his magical T-shirt that opens and closes and stuff. I do think, and he's gonna always be forever my favorite prince because up until that point, I always had like a love of animated dudes, Aladdin, and then you
Mm.
had like all these other like animated guys. And when I saw him, I remember as a kid, it's like, oh my gosh, he actually looks like a real life prince, and I loved him. I loved him. I still do. I think he's so handsome, and I was just like, mm, mm, mm. Even to this day, I think the king himself is handsome.
Ooh, that's a
Mm, mm,
handsome
mm.
actor.
He is a
He
handsome
is,
actor. Fucking love him.
and um,
And Whoopi Goldberg.
oh God, it's hard to hate Whoopi Goldberg. You're a terrible person if you do.
Like
Um,
like her scenes where she like her mouth is agape and she goes, and I love it. I don't know why. It just remember it just reminds me of when I was a kid and I fucking laughed at that and I still laugh at it as an adult. I love Whoopi Goldberg, man.
too.
She's so
I
good.
miss her and stuff, honestly.
Now I want her to live her best
So
life.
we haven't talked about uh Hilary Duff's Chad Michael Murray.
Chad Michael Murray is a Chad.
He's Chad, and
Like I
I
can't.
wasn't that impressed with him, like his character,
Ooh,
but he was playing a jock. There,
he was playing a jock who was actually like who was a softie on the inside
mhm.
because he did poetry and wanted to go to Princeton and it really was a deep
Be
soul,
smart and not just
a
a
dumb
jock.
jock, which was great. However, he also I have the same kind of qualms with him like I do with your Prince if ever
And I was
after.
gonna say the same thing. I'm like, I'm just not impressed with him. I would have to agree that the live action Cinderella remake
Yes,
um probably has the best prince.
I agree.
Even though your prince is cute and all that shit.
I love my
But
Prince. I will always love my Prince, but I do think that the live action Cinderella gave him more of a
mhm,
personality and such.
yeah.
And like I'm going back to Chad, I can
Mhm,
also say that with same with Hilary Duff and Drew Barrymore, they both had to put them in their place, their princes in their
yeah.
place, because when Hilary Duff walks in to the boys' locker room and just tears him a new one, that to me was the most satisfying, like I
Yeah.
guess interaction in any film. That because like ooh,
Yeah.
because she's like, even if I have like no money for college and no future, it's you I feel sorry for. And I was like, ooh, girl, tell him, because he ain't got shit. He ain't got shit. Bless Whoopi. Yes, Whoopi's awesome. But yeah, no, like she ain't got shit. Like Chad was a Chad, and like, she deserves better. That's again my own personal thing because she's too strong
Yes.
for him, and he a weak man. But anyway,
Mm.
I love her. I love her character, and I love that she was not scared to like straight up tell off the prince.
Yeah.
Good on you. Good on you, Hilary Duff. But I do agree that live action Cinderella Prince, I think he was more princely, had
Yeah.
more of a personality. Yeah, I'll
I
go with
think the
that.
big thing with that is the live action adaptations are trying to fix some of the gaping holes that the animation had.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest complaints that I've always like noticed and recall people talking about is that the animated prince had nothing. We got more from his father than we ever got from him.
Okay, the movie is really about his dad, just like the Brandy's movie is about Lionel. Let's be honest.
Mm.
The animated classic, his dad was the best. Because all he
He
wanted was
was.
grandkids. He wanted grandkids. He had dreams about it. And I was just
Right.
like, if I had, well, okay, so technically I do have a dad like that. who all he wants is
Yeah.
grandkids. And they're like, when are you gonna have a when are you gonna have a kid? I'm like, I'm not having kids. Like, you're gonna have to keep dreaming. That's the kind of father that would be the greatest grandpa, though, who would spoil his
Mother
kids
tried that
rotten.
once.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, just it's like when you reach a certain point, you're like, I want grandkids. I want more kids in my life. And Disney dad was one of that the Disney animated dad, the king. I love that about him. I fucking loved
So
that about him.
cute.
It
He was
was
so
amazing.
cute.
He was wholesome. Did he have a temper? Of course he had a
Oh
temper.
yeah. Yeah.
But it was played off in the in the best way, for comedy purposes. I don't
Right.
know. Okay. Yeah, that was technically his movie. And
Yeah.
Cinderella. But anyway, moving on to my next question. Who was
Yeah.
the best stepmother?
Okay, in like terms of being a good parental figure or like a good villain.
Good villain, like the stepmother. Who was the best stepmother, like evil stepmother, I should say. I
Uh,
again will say live action because out of all of the films, her character as a stepmother stuck with me more than any of the other characters in the live action Cinderella. Like, to me, she astounded me by how amazing she was as an evil stepmother.
so I'm tied between two stepmothers. Also, can I just before I go into my two ties, I have to give props to Hilary Duff's stepmother because she
Oh,
was
she was so funny.
fucking hilarious.
I loved her. If it was funny wise, yes, she would take the cake. I fucking love her.
Absolutely
Oh
agreed. Agreed.
man, she's so good. Oh, so
So
yeah, props.
I will give you props for saying the live action adaptation. I think that she's a very powerful woman. She
Yes.
is very controlling and all this stuff, but
And her voice. Okay, so her voice, I think it's the way she speaks, like her tone of voice.
yeah,
Just, oh my goodness. Just, oh my goodness. It blew me away. Like, because when she first enters the screen and okay, yeah, she's the evil stepmother, but she starts speaking and like, it's just her air, I guess I can only explain it. I
right.
think she did the best stepmother because the moment she
I'm
was the first on screen, I knew it, and I was just like, "Oh shit." She would terrify me if I saw her in real life. Like all the others, this is
mm,
how I would compare it. All the other stepmothers, if I saw them in real life, I would fight them. If I saw her, like the live action Cinderella one, if I saw her, I'd be like, "All right, I'm gonna back up. She's too scary for me." Like, cause she's smart, she's
mm.
conniving, and she has a voice that could literally like manipulate the situations so well. Honestly, I can't. There's no comparison. Like, to me personally, she
Mm.
scares me, and I love that.
Oh.
I know.
Um oh my.
Oh,
Um hello. Um I so I will give her props and I think what you're trying to describe is she's a powerful woman.
yes, in a
It's like she
terrifying way.
has that power. She has that authority energy that she has. But
Yes.
I would also like to point out that Angelica Houston's from Ever After
Oh, okay.
is now hear me out. So these are the two that I'm like very tied between is because Angelica Houston is an abuser.
Mm-hmm.
She's abusive and it's I feel like it stems from the fact that when her husband died, he said that he loved Danielle
Yes.
before he died, before he even said or acknowledged her.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's like she's very classically abusive.
Yes.
You see how she treats Danielle, that it's like no one outside of the household really sees her this way, that she's a very powerful woman, she's very manipulative. And I'm like, they each are powerhouse evil stepmothers. They
Mm-hmm.
both do such a great job, and I cannot choose between the two. I get what you say with the live action adaptation. I
Mm-hmm.
see that 100%. I will give her props for that. But Angelica Houston is a powerhouse in this. Like
Okay.
she she lets it go very dark.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, she sold her own daughter. So.
She beat her own daughter.
Mm. Oh yeah, you're right. She did.
She didn't just whip her, she probably opened wounds with those beatings.
Mm.
So,
Okay. Also fair. I can see that as well.
right.
I
Um,
think. Go ahead.
I was about to say it's just like that's all that's where I'm torn between the two.
Mm. Oh, okay, fair. Maybe, but both of them are pretty much similar in the fact that they're powerful and manipulative, and
Hmm.
yeah. Okay. So, who do you think had the best fairy godmother? I don't want to say
Ooh,
like I want to just say godmother because most of them don't have godmother. They're
ro-
not fairies, and most of them aren't even mothers. Like the Leonardo da Vinci,
yeah,
that to me was super sweet. It was a it. I think out of cleverness, he was the most clever because I wasn't expecting him to be the godmother, or the guy that saved the day
love
and
that.
made his. Yeah, it was a very unique twist, and I remember the first time I watched it,
Hmm.
for the very first time, I was like, oh, this is the one of the best ways to introduce a fairy godmother, but not really a fairy godmother, right?
Right,
Because he used science instead of just magic, and I loved
right.
that. Like it blew my mind.
Before we go on, let me add something real quick that I think you would really appreciate it. And I heard this from, I believe, Smarter Every Day, which is a YouTuber. He said, magic in most sense is just unexplained science.
Yeah,
If
I've
we
heard of
do
that.
not
Mm-hmm.
understand science, it seems magical until we do. And that, to me, just made me love it, fall in love more with that Leonardo character.
Right. I've heard of that as well. The Slipper and
Right.
the Rose.
Oh,
Oh shoot, we hadn't even talked about the Slipper and the Rose. I have not seen that. We should watch it, Monty.
I've never
I'm so
seen it.
sorry. I know that's something that we've been talking about, and I just never seen it.
I know Kevin talked about it last week, and that was the first time I'd ever heard of it.
Mm-hmm. Before I do
Uh,
though, I'm trying to find. No.
but I will say it's very, very hard to not love the original animated fairy godmother and her song Bibbidi Boppity Boo.
Oh, okay. Okay. If that's your, because I just made a thing, just a pin on the Leonardo one. Whitney Houston with her voice, her stellar voice, was amazing. Like I will always cherish that.
Yeah.
But I will have to say the best fairy godmother who actually acted like a godmother was in a Cinderella story, the Hilary Duff one. Not because she gave out her own wedding dress, because by that point, Hilary Duff was kicked out of her house. So she came in, she took her in her own small apartment. Like all she had to offer was a couch. Like she was homeless. Like, Hilary Duff was homeless. So she took her in, took care of her, went out and bought her like the stuff that she needed for her outfit, like the little mask that she needed for
Mm.
the outfit. Like that to me, she didn't use magic. And also, she took care of Hilary Duff from the very beginning when her stepmother was being a piece of shit person. She went out and she actually did take care of Hilary
So, like
Duff
a proper godmother.
like a
Not just a fairy
proper
godmother,
godmother.
like a proper godmother.
Yeah, and it just shined even more when she offered her dress, her wedding dress, to just for a Halloween costume. She's like, you want to dance with this guy that you've secretly been chatting to and stuff? I got you. Let me take care of this for you. And I was just like, you a godmother? She's my favorite. She's my favorite godmother. I swear. And like, she don't have to sing. She doesn't have to do any of that. And she is by far, like, to me personally, the best fairy godmother in a story, like in a Cinderella story. Uh, just because, like, I can gloat about it. And I love her actress. Oh, what was her name, though? Because she acted in many things.
Okay, I'll give you mad respect for that. It's like as a godmother figure, her being there present and knowing what Cinderella needs. That's
Yes.
amazing. That's fantastic. I haven't really ever seen that done before. But it is
Yeah.
hard to not love a little old man coming in and it's just like, we gonna get you to the ball, girlfriend.
Yeah, no,
I
that's,
love
I mean,
him.
that was nice. But I think because of the fairy
He was
godmother
more
character.
he was more of a fairy godmother instead of like a true godmother.
Yes. Yes. So I'm gonna say a Cinderella story to me personally had the best godmother because she literally went above and beyond, and she didn't have no fucking magic. You know, she didn't have any of that shit. She just went above and beyond to make her night, like Cinderella's night, magical. Even though her name isn't Cinderella, it's, I don't forgot. But that to me, personal best
But it's a
favorite.
Cinderella story, so they're all Cinderellas. And
Yes. So this is a little bit of a easy one. Who do you think had the best stepsisters in terms of, like, I guess, comedy?
in terms of comedy, I would
Because
have for both of them, I'd have to give it to yours, to
I
Brandy.
agree. I
They're
feel
so
like,
funny.
mm-hmm.
Because in mine, one stepsister is actually good and sweet and
Yes.
kind, or tries to be, to Daniela.
Yeah, because she had enough. She was like, "Fuck you guys, this is terrible." Like, she
Right.
realized what is going on.
And the comedic duo, when there is comedic comedy with the stepsister, is actually between Marguerite, the blonde stepsister, and the stepmother.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Um,
Give me
so
just a
like
second. Hold up.
yeah,
I was just reading Monty's. Though as good as Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo is, I love Impossible. It's possible. I love that song. Though biases from onstage costume change for the fairy godmother and Cinderella also plays in that. I loved fairy godmother's outfit, like Whitney Houston's outfit. Fucking loved it. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
oh, hers was actually really good. Like hers was like a full fairy godmother kind of like aesthetic,
Yeah.
very dramatic. I
Well, it's Whitney
Not the topic we're
Houston.
on right now, but it's like like hers is like dramatic. It's just like we magical up in here, bitch.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I love that about it. You know, like the
Right.
costumes were just. And Whoopi Goldberg, and I don't know if you saw it, but she had like the little tinsels in her hair to make it look gold.
Yeah.
Oh, it was perfect. They
She
did
was so good.
great. Oh my gosh, she was so good. And like the way it
Um.
form fits to her. I can go on. I'm
mm,
sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, we were talking about the stepsisters and who
Yeah.
was the best comedic duo. It's like I do think that the classic animated Cinderella didn't have the
Mm-hmm.
worst stepsisters.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously they're bad and things like that, but they were kind of funny. They were awful kind of characters, kind of thing. But they between the two, they had a very good interaction and dynamic to actually present villains.
Right. I can see that. Mm-hmm. Because they were more villainous. Yeah. Is that the
Yeah,
term? Yeah. I can see that.
yeah. But yours, absolutely yours, are the fucking funniest.
Okay. So in terms of comedy, I think
Mm-hmm.
you have mine. You have the regular Cinderella story because
Mm-hmm.
the way that they're awkward and such, and like Hilary Duff's. And I will also throw this in there just because I've only watched it like once or twice. Stepsisters and another Cinderella story with Selena Gomez. They were also
Right.
really awkward, and because it was based on dancing, they were all
Yeah.
dancers, so they were
Oh
awkward.
yeah.
Yeah, so they were all awkward and terrible. But in terms
Mhm.
of like comedy and like all of that, I do like mine.
Yeah.
Like, I really do
Yeah.
like mine. In terms of being a villain, is yours like the Ever After one? Because one of them
Oh
was absolutely terrible.
well, I we were talking about as a duo. So
Yeah, I was
those
talking about as a duo. Yeah. So,
but the worst of the worst I will have to tell, like a singular stepsister is Marguerite.
yes. But if we're
I
talking
know.
worst of the worst as a duo, then it would have to be the animated classic, just because they ripped her dress apart,
Oh
and
my god, yeah.
none of the other stepsisters went that far to
Right.
hinder Cinderella. So if we're
Right.
talking by villainess wise,
Mm,
it would be the animated classic, because
yeah.
again, like they just shredded her dress apart,
Mhm.
and they left her there. They just left
Mhm.
her in, her rags. And
Yep.
after all of that hard work that she did to, well, technically not her, but all the hard work that they did to make the dress,
Yep.
and I was just like, I hate all of y'all. I hate all of y'all. So I guess in that terms, I will give that to the animated classic. That was cruel, absolutely cruel, but in the best way. Because they'll make you feel for Cinderella. They just do.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, I'm trying to think. There was one more, and I can't remember what it was. We already went through the story. It's like the sad beginning and the happier ending. And oh, right, favorite ball scene.
Ooh.
And this incorporates all of like the dancing, and or in this case, with this Cinderella story, it is just a Halloween party. Um,
Right.
and but okay, so
That's
let me break
great.
this down. This is why I wanted this to be last, because we're going to incorporate a lot.
Right.
Setting,
Hmm.
music, if dancing
Yeah.
was involved, costumes, like the ball, in the entirety of the ball scene itself. What is the best? And
So
go
it's
go go.
hard because a lot of them each of them are very unique.
Yes.
So I'm gonna start with mine ever after just because it's mine. Um, I would say the ball scene seems like a genuine ball scene, like a
Yes.
period ball scene. There is the illusion of period dancing. I doubt very seriously what they were dancing is an actual dance, but
Yeah.
it seemed period. There was a buffet, there was food, there was socializing, there was a play over to the side. There was like the Royal Highness thrones at one point at the focal point. There was an orchestra. As an overall ball scene, I would say mine. I would like to move on to yours. It seemed very appropriate. It had a lot of people. They did very well trying to set it up to where the prince is meeting each of the girls while dancing. Um
Give
kind
me.
of went a little long, but we're
Well,
not
yes.
like the scene itself seemed to go cut a little long, but we're going to push that aside. They did a fantastic job with just the dancing. It's vaguely dated. It's 90s dancing ballroom style. There's nothing wrong with it. It fit to the aesthetic of the rest of the movie. Um I feel like there were a lack of decorations, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I see what you mean. Well, because it's pretty
Yeah.
much. I can understand that, because none of the actual decorations were out until like they went to the garden, because honestly the floor was bare and there was nothing on the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There didn't seem to be like a buffet where where they sang an entire song about. Um
Mm-hmm.
I
So
didn't see an orchestra per se, but it was clearly implied one was there, which is fine. It's a limited set. You only have so much room and you're focusing on the dancing for this scene.
right.
Um
So I'm
I
gonna have. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was about to say the animated Disney made it look so beautiful,
Yes.
so
Mm-hmm.
ethereal because it's so much different from what our Cinderella's used to.
Yes.
Mm.
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
I'm
go
gonna
ahead.
take my. I'm gonna sort of take my vote off of the slipper and the rose. I mean, the shoes, because type in the slipper and the rose shoes. That is insane. And it's just like yours, where it is a slipper. And it looks absolutely stunning as a picture. I had to look it up because
It
Monty
seems
mentioned,
very dated in my like to my taste, but I'm like
well, yours was
it
dated too.
it
Like
fits it
the
fits the
aesthetic.
aesthetic of what I see for the rest of the movie.
Yes. And I just had to check it out because my goodness. Because I think we've
Mm.
talked about The Slipper and a Rose, before. We just never watched it. And honestly, it looks like another historical piece. And the
Hmm.
shoes. Wow.
You
Holy
are a shoe kind of
crap.
person,
I
so
love shoes. I love shoes. And those, I will never wear them because I don't deserve to. But those are amazing. I have to
for
watch it. I
my
have to sit
personal
by.
taste, they're a little gaudy, but again, it's just
That's
they're
what.
very appropriate for what kind of time period it's set
Exactly.
for.
Yeah. I gotta watch this. I gotta watch all this. This looks nice. All for the shoes. Anyway,
Mm.
sorry. So, ball scene. Um,
Yes,
I
go with
do.
your ball scenes. How do you feel about them?
Okay. So, I'm gonna go back to. I liked the modern day Cinderella stories cannot do ball scenes. I'm just gonna stay it right there
Oh,
because
yeah.
uh
Are you talking about just modern in general or modern set?
modern set.
Okay.
Because like the ball scene in the live action Cinderella was good. I
Yeah.
really appreciated it. Um, like the way that she danced, I really thought her dress was gonna hit somebody and like knock them down. But like it
That
was
that can happen. I
that's
promise
what
you
I
that can
mean.
happen.
I
Usually
mean,
they don't have enough mass to them to actually knock a grown person over, but you're gonna bump a child.
yes, but for me, like I like again, we're gonna go back to Hillary Duff's. Hillary Duff's
Yes.
ball scene was a Halloween party,
Yeah.
and the what was it? Selena Gomez ball
Mhm.
scene was just like a dance competition party kind of thing. Like a regular
Yeah.
dance. And she wore a masquerade in like a little red dress, and I was just like, That's why I didn't even mention her in the dress thing because it was awful. Anyway, moving on.
It
I
felt
hate
like
that the modern time. Like I get that in the modern times they won't really do balls like that,
right.
but I wish they would. I really wish they would. And
Right.
I'm gonna 86 those. Those do not exist in ballroom scene. Whatever. Those are
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
I remembered with my ball scene, like
Mhm.
with the Brandy's actual ball
Yes.
scene, I did
Mhm.
like the music. Did it go too long? Of course it did. It was like, they did what they could as a theatrical play to TV movie, right?
Yeah, it's a movie. That was my really own like major complaint about it, but like that has nothing to really do with the set of the ball itself.
Yes. I do agree that there wasn't a lot of decoration. There was,
Mm.
but I loved the color. I loved
Yes, well,
the
it's blue and purple, so I wonder why you
Yeah,
liked
I
it.
love it's because it's my favorite colors. My goodness. Um, so I loved the colors, but I also loved the way that they all danced. Like they took
Hmm.
away from the prince and princess for a while, but you saw it as just the dancing in general,
Yeah,
and I liked that. I liked that I loved that.
it was
Um,
an actual
and I
ball where people were up and dancing.
Yeah, and me and my sister we would dance to that scene.
Oh.
So we were when we were kids because we were about like 6 or 7 when it was out. So
Hmm.
we were dancing to that,
Yeah.
and we thought it was the most magical thing. So nostalgia wise, that would be the Great Ball scene for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
so in all honesty, I if I'm a little bit biased because I do have that.
Mm.
So I will say, as a unbiased opinion, I did like the live action Cinderella ball scene because he had more color. You had, I guess, the camera work, if you've ever watched it, was really good. Music
Since
was
I've seen
okay.
it.
Huh?
It's been a minute since I've seen
Oh
it.
yeah, and I was like, music was okay, and I liked it,
Yeah.
but I really did think that she was gonna knock someone out with her dress, like I genuinely did. um,
um,
but yeah, sorry, go ahead.
like I would have to say my favorite would probably be the classic animated. ball.
Oh, yes.
Um, because it kind of really portrayed like a different lifestyle that Cinderella wasn't used to. It like the sheer grandness of it all, the
Mm-hmm.
elegance, the etherealness of it all. And the fact that like we've already seen the prince be introduced to several women
Yes.
before and after the
Because he yawned.
stepsisters. Yep, he full on
I loved it.
yawns.
I fucking
And
loved
then
it.
he
And then it was the funniest thing, you know. But
it's
anyway,
like that yawn and then side eye to his dad was the
yes.
perfect thing. And the fact that he sees Cinderella just trying to figure out where to go and just leaves everything
Mm-hmm.
to go talk to her. This entire huge ass room of people to go to her. I would have to say the classic animated ballroom or the
Yes.
animated ball.
Okay, fair. I do remember that. And of
Yeah.
course, the song "So This Is Love,"
Yeah.
and like that
So
in
it
itself,
implies that they're actually talking through this entire
right?
dance. Unlike with yours, where they dance for what, 25 minutes and spend the last 5 minutes singing to each other?
Yeah, yeah, fair. They weren't the smartest, but again, I'm
No, they
gonna chuck
weren't.
it up. I'm going to chuck it up to the fact that they were both really awkward and didn't know how to talk to each other because they did
That's
mention
fair.
that. It was like I love that they were awkward. I love that that's one thing they're like, hey, I'm a sheltered kid. I'm sorry if I've offended you. And I was like, oh, you're so cute. They're just the cutest. They're just the cutest. All
I
right.
will give you props to yours because it is like they can be a little cringy towards one another, but it's like a very sweet kind of cringy.
I
It's very
know.
cute.
It's like, oh, you feel for them because they are awkward and they're well aware of
Mm.
that. They're like hella aware of that. But I love it anyway. I think it's just like they're so good.
Yep.
Um, those are actually all the questions that I had, and we talked.
Okay.
And I can't believe we actually went through them. Like wow, in a decent
Yeah,
amount of
we
time.
usually derail real fast, real
I
hard.
know, but because I've been planning to ask you these because we wanted to break down all of this.
And we've been saving this for the podcast. We wouldn't really talk a lot about our opinions about stuff unless in like passively joking about it.
Yes,
Like, you fucking told me that Cinderella was a Cinderella story.
it
No, it
is.
wasn't.
It's
It's
Lionel.
Lionel.
It's
It's
Lionel's
all about
story.
Lionel. We joke about stuff like that. Um, but I have a question for you,
Oh snap!
Ricey.
Okay, yeah, I'm all ears. Also,
So,
hi Nasia.
hello. Um, no. Um, but what are your complaints with your movie, specifically with Brandy?
It didn't have enough time. I wanted it to be
Time how?
longer. Like I wanted it to be longer.
It was an hour and a
Okay,
half,
so
so
this is
it
okay.
wasn't.
So
Yeah.
this is my complaint, and I do love mine from the
Yeah.
bottom of my heart. I do love
Mhm.
Brandy's and Houston's. There were
Mhm.
long parts, just like we said, like the ball scene,
Mhm.
where I wish was shorter and had more time for story. However, I can
Yeah.
also admit that this was just an adaptation from the original play, musical that they had. So, with the allotted time and the actual play, of course, there wasn't going to be a lot of story because it was a stage play, a
Yeah.
musical stage play. So, I get that what they had to work with what they had, and I
Mhm.
respect it. I respect. However,
Respect.
there
No
were some.
attack. Respect.
Yeah, I do feel like the characters could be fleshed out a little bit more. Brandy was amazing. Brandy was amazing. I liked what they did with each character as much as they did it. Is it cheesy? Yeah, but it was meant for kids. It was
I mean,
one of them.
it's like they push that cheese factor. They didn't just make it cheesy in kind of like one awkward kind of sense. They like, we gonna
Yes,
make it cheesy. We gonna make everything cheesy.
yes, and people might hate that, but honestly, it makes it a little bit more, I guess, like easy to digest. Like my nieces can watch it and
Yeah.
like they'll still love it. To this day, they'll love it.
Right.
Terrible CG. But
Oh.
again, it's the 90s. It was 97 CG, okay? So, we're,
On top of that, it was a movie
made for
for
TV.
TV.
Yeah, so the
So
CG was awful. And like,
I will appreciate that the CG wasn't like overly in your face. Like
no,
obviously we had to have the CG for Whitney Houston doing her magical stuff for the pumpkin scene and then for like
castle.
a long shot of the castle.
Yeah.
It wasn't everywhere.
No, 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 no. They did the sets really well. Like, I really
Hmm.
liked the sets. Those are, so, those to me are the worst. Like, it's a very, it seems like it's a very short story. You don't have the fleshed out characters.
Yeah.
It could be a little cringy and cheesy. And I really wish they took more time just focusing on the characters itself. Like, I like the stepmother, but she sang one song and that was it. And she
Yeah.
said one thing where her tone changed, where it was like ice cold, and I was like, oof, like that.
And now, like, I appreciated that.
Yeah.
She's like, you want to know why I don't think you deserve this? Is because you're common. And I'm like, damn, can we get more of this, please?
Yes. And I'm
Like,
just like,
she had the potential to be up there with the live action and
yeah.
Angelica Houston.
But she didn't. Like, she was just too focused on her stepdaughters, and her stepdaughters outshined her. Stepdaughters outshined her. I mean, her actual daughters. Whoops. Her actual daughters outshined her. So, those are my qualms. What about yours? What are some qualms you have with yours?
I like, again, these are both the movies that we love most, but we will be very honest about what we love. Mine is Ever After. Mine's a period piece set in France.
Yeah?
The first fucking thing I have to say about this is the prince's name is Henry.
Henry.
It should not be Henry. Henry is an English name. It should
Henry.
at the very fucking least needs to be Henri, which is French. It should be Henri. If we're gonna stick with a Henry name.
I'm trying to find out Christopher's name.
Christopher's full fucking name?
Full fucking name.
God damn. I wish you luck, girlfriend. We
Because
gonna be a
you can
minute.
complain about Henry, but Christopher. Holy crap. His name is fucking long. Yeah, I wish it's gonna be a minute. I can't do that. Anyway. Anyway.
Um, but that, like, they made it kind of like a very whimsical, like, quote unquote period piece, vaguely French, but it's like that was my biggest problem. That was like, why do we have a fucking English name for the Prince of France?
Okay. Fair.
Why?
Right, right, right. Then again, your name wasn't Chad. Chad Michael Murray. Oh wait, his name
And I
wasn't
think
Chad. His name was something else, wasn't it?
no, I think it was Chad.
Are you
It was either
sure?
Chad or John. I
John.
think
Oh, hold up. I'm gonna look this up.
I think it was Chad.
I'm looking this up.
It's either Chad or John. But while you're looking that up, I have a question for you.
I have an answer.
Or
Austin. His
more.
name was Austin Ames. I forgot.
Oh,
That's right.
really?
Yes, his name is Austin Ames. And I
I'm glad they
remember
didn't
that the
call him Chad.
moment. No, Austin. Okay, Austin was, I guess, I just think Texas.
That's fair.
I
That's
feel
fair.
bad. No, no. It was like nothing against the name, like any people or any person named Austin.
Mm.
Much love to Austins out there. And I will say, Austin sounds more princely than Henry. Because it's Henry.
So
A
let
French
me
name.
just. It's not really a question, so let me lead with an example then. I
Okay.
have two extremely favorite scenes from my movie, Ever After.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is, like One Ton of Call has mentioned, the fact that Daniela and Henry are surrounded by gypsies, or uh, they call themselves gypsies in the movie. That's now a term that people don't want being
Yeah.
used. So Romani. So they're surrounded by Romani, and they end up getting robbed.
Mm.
Well, the head of the group is like, "Well, lady, you can go." She's like, "Well, I insist I need at least a horse." And
Yes.
the lead guy is like, "You can take whatever you can carry." And she's like, "Okay, anything? Do I have your word?" Guy's like, "Yes." So she walks her ass over there, throws the prince over her shoulders, and walks away with him.
Yep.
That is just a fantastic,
I mean, it's a classic
powerful
scene.
scene.
No one expects it. Like it's a classic scene, and it's wonderful.
It's wonderful.
It's very
Now
clever.
my second one, and props to this actress because she carried that entire fucking scene, is the wedding scene between Henry and the Princess of
Oh, I love it.
Spain,
Yes, and she's
and
crying,
her sobbing.
and
She's
she's
not crying.
crying,
She
and she's
is
like, "Please don't do this. Please
wailing
don't do
and
this." Yeah, she's like, "I don't
sobbing.
want to do this. Please don't do this. I can't do this." Like it was the and he like I don't think you understood because she was speaking Spanish when they lifted her veil, and she's crying. She's like, "Please don't do this. Please, I don't want to do this." Like crying, like sobbing, and it broke my heart. And it was funny,
Yeah,
but also like she's begging him, and he can't understand what the fuck is going on, and then he just
right.
starts laughing, which I'm just like, oh. And of course, the parents arguing with each other. They were like, "It's your fault." No, it's your fault. Like, and all of that. And I was just like, "This is cute. That cute." But yeah, her crying was. I laughed.
She she carried that entire fucking scene. And I
Wow.
love her for that. But yeah, do you have either for your own movie or for any of the Cinderella adaptations that you just fucking love that sticks with you?
I think there is, but hold up. Where there's an army, I'm reading Nauseam. That apparently there's a historical story about that. He's like, when an army laid siege to a city and told the women they could leave with whatever they could carry, so they walked out with their husbands on their backs, and the sieging army let it happen.
Yep.
What?
I think that was Eastern European or very far Western Russia.
So clever. So
Because
fucking
it's like I
clever.
remember hearing about that as well, and it's like I think it's an Eastern European um story
Mm-hmm.
where I don't know, but yeah. Going back to you, Ricey, do you have any that stick out to you super well?
Hmm. Um, I have some, but I can't think of them at the top of my head.
I do
Honestly,
have one more if
okay,
you'd
so the
like a
duet,
second to think.
no, the duet between Brandy and Houston will forever stick with me. I think the music between the two with Impossible and It's Possible
Hmm.
was wonderful. They sang so well as a duet. So that will stick with me as my personal favorite in the movie. And then I will say scene wise for any film. Oh gosh, any Cinderella adaptation.
A scene, a
Shoot.
line, anything that just sticks with you.
To me, the only one I can think of right now is Brandy and Houston.
Well, I do have one more for you, and it's from a Cinderella story with Hilary Duff, and it's the mother after she got Botox, so her face is frozen in kind of a very cringy, sweet smile. Like
Yes.
it's like, ooh, kind of look. It's the girl, her daughters have fucked something up, they've done something really bad, and they ask her, it's just like, why do you look so proud of us? And she's
Yes.
like, I'm not. My face is still frozen from Botox.
Yeah. I fucking love it. Okay, I will say out of all of the modern Cinderella stories, a Cinderella story with Hilary Duff is the best.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes.
Absolutely love it.
Even though the phone kind of dates it. But yes.
The flip phone makes it even funnier. Because nobody. Well, okay, so actually, technically, flip phones are trying to come back. You know, well, at least Samsung has a flip phone. But flip phones at the time and the way that they text, it's dated and like it's ancient. No one, no Gen Zer is gonna look at it and it's like, that's how you text. Yes, that's why LOL or LMAO and all of that happened, because we ain't gonna type all that shit out. Phew.
Also, you only had so many characters to use for
Exactly.
a text message,
Right.
and
Oh
you only had
man.
so many text messages.
Yes, you're right. You had to consolidate and explain as much as you could. Data was everything back then. Not anymore.
Absolutely. Nope. Unlimited everything.
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 Texting. Bah. It's all about the internet now on your phone. It boggles my
Mm.
mind. Anyway, we gotta wrap it up. Um, thank you guys so much. I was actually super excited to talk about the Cinderella adaptations because I've seen so many of them, and honestly, out of any other fairy tale story, that one is adapted to the most.
Um,
Like, I've seen some, what was it, Snow White ones
yeah,
and Beauty and the Beast, of course,
right.
but nothing gets as like adapted to the most than Cinderella. And I think it's because it's like an underdog story and everyone loves underdog stories, you know? So, I want to say that. Like, fucking thank you so much for watching or listening to us talk about Cinderella. I wish, do you think that if they did it in a more modern this day, it would actually hold true?
Uh, I don't know, because I feel like Cinderella stories are usually like younger girls, like set around like the age group that a Cinderella story and another Cinderella story is are set around, so like late high school, maybe early college. Um, I'm not really sure if it can be retold, really. It's like there's
Hmm.
not a new really interpretation that they can do. Unless they
Okay.
want to go dark, because there's a lot of like light and
Oh,
happy and silly.
yeah.
Unless they want to go dark, and I just don't know if there's the demographic for it to go dark.
Right. Oh, thanks, Nasiam. We're actually going to wrap up anyway. So I appreciate you coming in to talk to us for a little bit. So as we're wrapping up, my final question for you, I'll do one more, is what what fairy tale would you want to see adapted into, like, I guess not necessarily, well, yeah, into a modern tale?
Hell. Huh.
Because we've done Cinderella, like I said, and I'm pretty sure that's been overdone.
So question, any kind of any fairy
Any
tale, or
fairy tale.
are we sticking strictly to kind of like princess fairy tales?
I know, I want to do any fairy tale.
Um, I'm like I kind of feel like I want to see like a Hansel and Gretel.
I've seen horror Hansel and Gretel's.
Right. So
I was like,
I don't really know what I would want from it. But I feel
right.
like I would like to see it,
Hmm.
because I feel like it has a lot of potential of what to do, what you can do with it.
True. 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 Well, I see.
Because I
I'm
wasn't
thinking about it.
exactly mad at the adapted, like the newer adaptation, the one with what's his name, the actor for Hawkeye.
Yes. 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 I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I wasn't mad at that adaptation. So it's like I would like to see what they would do with a modern adaptation with
Hmm.
it.
I know there's a horror film based on that, like Hansel and Gretel, which is interesting to say the least. Um, but yeah, I guess that will be it. Thank you guys so
Hey,
much for listening.
you didn't say which one you would want to see.
I have too many.
Okay, okay.
Like, if I were to pick off the top of my head what kind of adaptation I would see. Crap, I can't think of any. Like, I want everything that everything that I've thought has already been done.
Okay.
I would actually love to see more of folklore. like Native American folklore, because we never hear anything about it to be adapted and hear those kind of stories. Like, I love that we hear Moana, we have Mulan, but I think outside of just the um, Hans Christian Andersen and the Grimm fairy tales, outside of those, I want to see more unique stories outside of like the European fairy tales. Does that make sense?
See African American fairy tales. I want to see
Yes.
Australian fairy tales.
Yes.
I want to
I
see
feel like I feel like ours is overdone. Like all the European kind of fairy tales are overdone. I want to see more from outside of those things. That to me
right.
would be very interesting.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but that's again my personal takeaway out of that. Because like everything that I think of, it's already been done. Aladdin and the King of Thieves was an Arabic kind of storytelling, which was really awesome. Did I say King of Thieves? Aladdin in general.
Yeah.
The
Well,
King of
yeah,
Thieves, the
because it
40
was based
Thieves,
off the uh Arabian Nights
yes,
and
and
all
the
of
40
that.
Thieves being part of the Arabian Nights and such like that. That
Right.
to me was really cool. I want more of that because I do love Aladdin.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, we'll talk to you guys next week around 11 Central. I can't remember things. 11 a.m. Central Time. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great weekend. Is there anything you wanted to add into that? Because I'm kind of rushing. Hello?
Yeah, Monty was just saying that he wanted more indigenous folklore.
Yeah. Right. I know there were some stories from like Mexican legend stories with the gods and such. And there is an animated like an anime kind of thing that they did using uh Mexican like native Mexican folklore, which I thought was really interesting. Um
No. Plug yourself.
right, I am a bowl of ricey. Here, I'll just here. Hold up.
She's a bowl of
There I
rice
am.
sleeve. She's a
There you
nerd.
go.
She streams. She has
I do
cosplay
stream.
stuff.
Yes, that's
Go
the one I'm
follow
talking
her.
to. That's the one I'm talking about. Monty. That's exactly the one I'm talking about. Um, ah, shoot.
Abby, Ab Mickey Ree. I don't stream. I have a
You should though.
Twitter. I'm getting around to it. But you can find us here at What's Your Opinion Podcast. We also have a Twitter, What's Your Opin Tin.
Yes.
Follow us there for more information and updates.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that I guess that's everything. I don't know what's wrong with me today. My brain is all scattered. I just had dill pickle chips. I don't know why my brain is all like messed up.
Your brain is ever in order?
No.
That's what I thought.
All right, you guys have a good week, and we can't wait to see you next week for another awesome topic we're going to talk about. Like this was something I was really excited to talk about, and I don't know if next week can top that, but we'll see. We got a lot of shit to talk about, always. But till
Nice.
then, yes. Till then, I hope you guys have a good week, and we'll see you next Saturday. Thank you so much for stopping by. Have a good one.